This is Chuck Carnival. I'm the Chuck in the Markets Up Chuck. And today's post was titled "Cramer is Wrong. NIHD or NIHD, the company NII Holdings, is a buy." And on his show on Monday, Cramer had actually trashed this company. And here's a chart on NII Holdings. This is a company that sells wireless services in Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Peru, and Chile. Primarily business to business. As you can see, it has an excellent track record. It was spun off from Nextel International in late 2002. The company's earnings have steadily increased every year, as you can see by this chart, and their stock price has correlated to earnings very, very closely. The last year, 2008, showed a down year, and 2009 is expected to be a down year also. But I want to point something out. The majority of this down year here in 2008 was attributed to foreign exchange rates because the dollar, changing against the South American currencies. This company is actually headquartered in the United States, being spun off from Nextel International. It's a Western Virginia headquartered company, but yet it does most of its business in South America. So exchange rates are important, but its total sales, its actual business, actually grew by double-digit rates. In fact, over 20% and even up to high as 25 and 35% on different metrics. Revenues grew 23%. Operating income grew by over 30% based on constant currencies. But the reality of it is the recession and the stock market caused this stock price to fall dramatically, where it got down to $10 a share in calendar year 2009. Now the stock, since it got to its low of $10.23, has rallied to just under $19 a share, through on the close on 6/24. The point of the story, however, is this. Cramer, one of the things he complained about in his article was that the stock was up 90% this year. Well, it had a 90% recovery and it had already gone up too far too fast. What he failed to point out was the company's only trading at around 9 times earnings. It had fallen from a normal price earnings ratio that, was in the 20s, and you can see that markets actually capitalized it at much higher rates. So it's trading at a very, very depressed level. Even if it only went back to 15 or 20 times earnings, there's a lot of room for this company to grow at these prices. The other point that I mentioned in the blog post is its current price to sales is only 0.74. It's very, very low. As you can see, its sales have continued to increase all through 2008, so it's had very strong operating results. The company's forecast to grow at 14.5%. It's currently trading at 9 times earnings. If the company just traded at paid ratio, it would generate a 25.2% compounded rate of return over the next, through calendar year end 2014. The point of the story is this growth rate is half of their historical growth rate of just over 29%. And so even if they do have a slowing down in growth, the consensus of the leading analysts following the company are still expecting that to be, very, very high, or at least 14 to 15% going forward. So buying the stock today at 9 times earnings still makes it an extremely attractive buy. I would like to add operating cash flows here and go back to this point where even though earnings dropped based on exchange rate conversion headwinds, the company's operating cash flows actually were still very, very strong. The company has about $1.2 billion or $3 or $4, I can't remember the exact number now off the top of my head, in cash on the balance sheet. It is going to be spending some money in the near future on some 3G build-out that Cramer talked about and some other capital expenditures, but the company has adequate cash flows and adequate cash on the balance sheet to generate that. It operates in very, very strong growth markets. It does have competition. That was one of the things that Cramer talked about. Cramer actually suggesting selling NIHD and buying America Movil. Now, America Movil is a Mexico City-based company. It operates in the similar markets to NIHD. It does also operate in some extended markets, the Caribbean and other places that NIHD is not involved in. But it's a much larger company, $44 billion in sales. It's currently trading at 11 times earnings. It also has a very, very strong growth rate. Wireless is a very attractive growth opportunity, as everyone would expect. They're not planning many telephone poles, in South America and other parts of the, developing world. But America Movil is a good investment in our opinion. It's actually on our large cap buy list actually. And so, the reality of it is this company is also very attractive. The forecast for growth is less than, I might point out, than NII Holdings at about 9.5 to 10%. So you might even argue it could be fully priced today, if not, even a tad overpriced. But I would think this would be an excellent long-term investment also. But my real problem with all this discussion was this man, who's obviously well followed, got on the horn and talked about things that I've written in the post, so I'll let you read them for yourselves. But he talked about, sell NIHD and buy American Movil. And my point is American Movil is a great buy here today. It's really a very attractive company, so I don't disagree with that. However, to tell people to sell NIHD at these low valuations, I think really doesn't make any sense. Both of these are excellent long-term vehicles, but my main point today I want to talk about is how muddy the thinking is by many investors. You know, long-term, I think both of these companies tend to see an awful lot of growth in the future, especially as the economies begin to increase. In fact, I would also argue that both, American Movil as well as NIHD would expect to see some acceleration of growth once economies begin to, stabilize worldwide. So even these 10 and 15% growth rates could actually begin to increase dramatically again a year or two out. This is Chuck Carnival. As usual, I'm going to be taking the weekend off. I appreciate your listening to these blogs and reading these blog posts. I thank you for that. I look forward to talking to you again on Monday. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.